Nigeria officially joined Brics as a partner country, marking a significant milestone in economic and diplomatic relations. Brics, the intergovernmental organization consisting of 5 major emerging economies, which are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, invited 6 emerging markets group countries, including Nigeria, to join the bloc in August 2023. Now you have Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates officially joining on January 1st, 2024, while Saudi Arabia is still considering its membership.
Now, as a partner country, Nigeria is expected to engage with BRICS nations on various initiatives, including promoting trade and investment, food security, infrastructural development, and climate change adaptation. According to the Special Advisor to the President on Public Communication and Media, Bwala, Nigeria has already begun reaping benefits from its partnership with BRICS nations. For instance, collaborations with Russia have improved Nigeria's agricultural systems and food security programs. We, of course, would expand on this discussion, but, the broad conversations around this, are mostly, ignoring some of these benefits that the presidency is pointing out, the partnerships, and the investment, possible investments in agricultural system and food security programs like Bwala is speaking about now, and mostly all, just pointing out the foreign policy issues that it might bring to Nigeria, looking at the countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which of course make up BRICS, and Nigeria's alignment with the West, and of course, the fears really are, does Nigeria really want to get into an alliance with these countries rather, that have been labeled, in a certain way, authoritarian, being led by dictators, and which other words or terms come to mind. And the questions really, have been, does Nigeria need to get into these types of alliances? But the presidency is saying it's not necessarily a military, alliance or anything of that sort, and it doesn't also ruin our relationship with the West, doesn't ruin our relationship, our business and foreign relationship with America and France and any other country. It's simply just what, Nigeria can also benefit from building relationships with other countries, which is, a pretty, interesting perspective, and I think it's also, important that Nigeria doesn't shut its doors completely to the possible support and partnerships that it can gain from other countries, and political alliances and foreign affairs alliances, should not be, sealed with concrete, and we should be able to also establish alliances. But does anybody really, and of course, there's always going to be questions as to if truly Nigeria is benefiting anything from Russia or from China. The Chinese have been criticized, for their involvement in other parts of Africa, and, the way and manner with which they build the alliances with other African countries, with Rwanda, for example. So these are some of the things that we're going to explore a little bit further in this particular conversation. Joe?
Absolutely. And we'll also take a look at the fact that BRICS is seriously pushing for one key thing in which its members are happily ensuring that these alliances work. And what they're really pushing for, which is one of the key aspects, is for financial sovereignty. This is actually one thing that they're pushing for, to see how they can actually be exempted from being overly dependent on the dollar. A lot of persons have said that, especially countries, state head, have said that the reliance on a dollar could seem to have been a state of or a thought that many countries would love to evolve from, would like to leave. But BRICS is, in a way, trying to encourage countries to actually be dependent on their own currency, talking about national currencies. We're also looking at the aspect that, if you recall, when our guest does join us, we would also talk about this. I think he was part of the persons we spoke to last year when BRICS had come out to say that they're also going to look at also having the BRICS currency. Many have thought about what it would look like. It will also help in trade and investment, whether we like it or not, so that the overdependence on the United States dollar, or dollar being the major currency, would not be there anymore. because just like one of the Iranian representatives had spoken, he had said that if you look at the fact that you could also depend on your own currency without having to trade with the American dollar or the dollars in quotes, if you put it that way, it gives you some form of confidence that you could still do business, improve the GDP of your country, still have FDIs, especially with partner countries who are on the Brics bloc, and then see the aspects of ensuring that you can actually grow your own commonwealth and have internal trade going. And if you look at it, I think it's a positive one. But on the other hand, is this going to be a threat to the Americans? I'm interested in this conversation because the Americans do have a new president in Donald Trump, who has said he's going forward, he's going to focus on America, America, America. Many have talked about the oil, that he's going to actually ensure that when it comes to oil and gas, put it that way, he's also going to ensure that America benefits the most. So how is Brics going to impact heavily on the new president in America? Not forgetting too that we know what happened or what has been happening between America and China, and it happens to be that China is also part of what we're about to see here unfold. But Nigeria joining is a different ball game. Is this going to also help President Bwala Tinubu to achieve his goals, his targets, especially what he put forth concerning the fiscal year, where he's gone in to ensure that Nigeria's economy finally gains strength and is finally stabilized to a point where Nigerians can heave a sigh of relief and would be able to say, yes, we think the man that was voted for and got into office has started putting things in the right place. So there's a whole lot of conversation surrounding Brics, a whole lot of conversation surrounding its impact with the United States of America and the current president, a conversation also surrounding President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's goal to ensure that his mandates are indeed met, working with different ministers. How would Brics also impact on different sectors of the economy? So these are conversations I'm looking forward to have as well.
Yeah, I think there's the point, about the new administration or the new government in America. I think it's also important, to see how hard Brics itself would also, try to expand. I know that in the last 4 years, the United States, under President Joe Biden, I would dare say that it completely lost itself. And that is one of the reasons that Brics, came together and decided that it was time for them to make the moves that they're making, and to kill this over-reliance on the U.S. dollar, and of course, they speak about, their own currency, which a lot of countries buy into. They may not say it openly, but a lot of them buy into the idea that the over-reliance on the U.S. dollar has now become, it's been weaponized by the United States. And so Joe Biden and his foreign policy and everybody who ran foreign policy under Joe Biden, Anthony Blinken and every other person, completely lost the plot in the last 4 years. So I don't know if Donald Trump will be able to calm the nerves, in these other countries. Will they be, still very, very much interested in creating their own currency and breaking away from the U.S. dollar and seeing other countries who will be willing to join them? It's now left for the, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and every other person who's going to be part of his foreign policy team to decide how this will turn out. But we have Global Affairs Analyst Collins Nweke joining us. Good morning, and thanks for your time this morning.
Very good morning to you.
Good to see you. I want to start with, the concerns, the most popular concerns that people have when they hear about Nigeria and its association with, with Brics. Normally, it shouldn't be a problem if Nigeria wants to, have alliances with other countries and with other, intercontinental groups. But this one just seems to have some bad air around it. So can you clarify, what are the major controversies and, and fears, and if you believe that these are legitimate concerns that Nigerians should have?
Well, for a start, I believe that the reason it took Nigeria this long to join the Brics is simply because Nigeria has had to, consider the pros and cons, and then determine finally that joining Brics is in the best interest, the best national interest of Nigeria. You will recall that they had been invited, quite a long time from now, but Nigeria had continued to hesitate. Well, maybe for a number of factors. I mean, at the time we had a president, that wasn't very quick in decision taking. Now we have a president with a completely different disposition, pragmatic, considers things and decides fast. So I want to believe that Nigeria has thought about it and felt that indeed this is a union that, for want of a better word, that this is a union that, Nigeria ought to be in. And so, from the side of Nigeria, well, I want to believe that this has been very well considered. Now, for those, who are expressing some fears, well, the fear may be born out of, not quite knowing what Brics is all about. And then, outside Nigeria, I mean, the external fears coming might, actually be fears on the other side who actually feel that Brics is going to be a very, very disruptive thing for the global, global West, global North, as a matter of fact, the Western economies who fear that it might, bring some disruptions to the financial institutions, that, a new world order is being, rearranged, actually championed by both China and countries like not Ukraine, countries like Russia. So yeah, the fears are there, and it depends on which quarter it is coming from. But as far as Nigeria is concerned, it shouldn't be a justified fear.
Okay. One of the key highlights for Brics, especially when they had their meeting last year in October, especially sitting with the interested leaders, one of the conversations was on de-dollarization. We've seen that a lot of world trade engaged between countries has to do with the use of dollar. As a matter of fact, I think it was in 2003, if I'm right, where it also mentioned that a lot of the oil trade that was done, it was 100% done in dollars. Now, Brics is looking at its own currency. Nigeria is also looking at having business relationships with as much country as possible so as to be able to stabilize the economy. Do you think that the Brics currency is one that would indeed bring succor to a country like Nigeria and also the partner countries that are equally involved, looking at the fact that they are pushing for de-dollarization?
Well, there are basically two broad ways to look at this. I do believe that although the de-dollarization has not started working in the way and manner that Brics conceive it to work, there are indications already that amongst member nations of Brics, that there are already some, bilateral arrangements, bilateral agreements that actually bypass dollar in their foreign trade. A situation where, for instance, Brazil and China are already trading in their local currencies. Brazil and Russia, the same thing, and a host of other countries. So it is already happening in small measures. Now, coming to Nigeria, I do believe that it is in Nigeria's best interest to weigh its relationship with different countries and see what those relationships bring to the table. Now, when the current president took over office, he made no secret about the fact that he believes that issues on tariffs and trade, especially international institutions, that the way they are couched is such that, it is not favorable to the global South, including Nigeria, and that there is a very, very urgent need to, rejig, such relationships. I do believe that one of the, deciding factors for him for signing off on, BRICS partnership is the fact that, BRICS offers for Nigeria and its foreign trade ambition the sort of things that he wants to see. That is not to say that, Nigeria cuts off a link with, the Western powers. No, that will not happen, but it is a matter of which, region, which group offers Nigeria the most competitive, advantage. So imagine a situation where Nigeria could trade with China using Naira on the side of Nigeria and using Yuan on the side of China. That would be marvelous, and that is essentially what this fear of de-dollarization is all about.
How much better do you think Nigeria can also get into these partnerships with China, for example, and maybe also Russia? Nigeria has a lot of value that it can get from Russia, even if, yes, Russia has way more gas than we do. But, what picture can you paint as to what possible relationships, or, benefits we can get from stronger, business ties with China and with Russia, and maybe also, Brazil in this picture? China has a lot of partnerships with other countries on the continent. In Rwanda, I know that they have a very strong relationship with Rwanda. So what can we possibly gain if we expand on this BRICS relationship?
Well, at the heart of this relationship is actually trade, international trade, but also all sorts of other support that the global South, the emerging economies believe is in their best interest, to be part of it. So that wouldn't be different for China. China-Nigeria trade relations. It will only just enhance it. Like the example I gave regarding the ease in trading with local currencies of the two partner countries involved. That in itself is already a very, very huge, improvement, or will be a huge improvement for Nigeria. Because imagine a situation where, Nigerian business people importing from China, or Nigeria comes to a point where it begins to export to China, that you don't have to, scramble around for, dollars to, power your business, your import or export, business. That you can do that right with your Naira. That will make life a lot easier, and that will improve, of course, the volume of business transaction between Nigeria and the country involved, and based on your question, in this case, China. So there are quite a lot to gain. And you see, the Western power that are actually concerned, it is for a reason that they are concerned. They are concerned because, these international, trade arrangements tilt to their favor, and so they are leaving Africa and the rest of the emerging economies high and dry. And so they are watching and seeing BRICS actually bringing a disruption to that advantage that they have been enjoying for centuries. And so, they have reasons to have not just fear, but palpable fear.
Yeah, but is there also concern? If you listen to a lot of the criticism from foreign countries coming into Africa and setting up these partnerships, it might seem like a win situation for the African nations. But looking deeper into it, a lot of people have criticized these countries for coming over here, giving you funding that, mostly just keeps you in a loop, that you have to keep paying back that funding, and then, setting up agreements with which they take raw materials from your country, give you minimal benefits, for those raw materials, and of course, then gain a larger percentage of that business relationship. So is that also a thing that, we should be worried about? Nigeria's manufacturing sector is struggling severely. And that is because, we have these partnerships that take away raw materials from Nigeria, ship them abroad, and then we buy goods and, items from those countries that are already processed, because we can't manufacture them here in Nigeria. And it's one of the things that the structural adjustment program was criticized, heavily for. So, do you have those same concerns, when we're having these conversations about partnering with these countries and us not being on the losing end in the long run?
Those concerns have been there. They will always be there, with or without Brics. I believe that it is, actually a different kettle of fish. That issue, the issue of, actually taking more out of Africa than they are putting in, it is a discussion, it is a conversation that should be divorced from Brics. Yes, it is happening. And so the onus is now on the African countries, Nigeria in this particular case, to determine for itself what is in its best national and security interest. Now, yes, obviously, some of those deals have got to be renegotiated. Nigeria should be in a position to actually have, raw materials processed in Nigeria through its industrialization plan. And so finished product or half-finished products made in Nigeria, creating jobs, keeping the economy, active, they should be encouraged within Nigeria rather than taking the raw materials away. So yes, that is an ongoing conversation, and Nigeria has got to be much more intentional than it is now in making it happen. I do not believe that, Brics will either make it happen or make it not to happen. That's a separate, conversation altogether.
All right. Well, there's a lot to talk about concerning Brics. We barely even touched on its political impact in these partner countries. We also understand that Brics is heavily pushing for technology in terms of partnerships, infrastructure. And the one that's most interesting is the fact that Brics is also looking at ensuring that other organizations like the IMF, World Bank, and so on get to understand what its goals are and also try to shape in with the countries involved. But I guess we're going to leave these conversations to when we have you back again. And hopefully we would speak more on Brics and also get another guest to join us from one of these partner countries. Thank you so much, Collins Nweke, Global Affairs Analyst, for speaking with us this Thursday morning.
Thank you so very much for having me. Have a great day.